Teresa Wilson, born April 26, 1969, Danville, Virginia. Died September 23rd, 2010, age 41. Greensville Correctional Center. Cause of death, ejection by lethal injection. Criminal status, executed. Convictions, capital murder, 2 counts, conspiracy to commit murder. Robbery, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, 3 counts. Criminal penalty, death, June 3rd, 2023. Born on April 26, 1969, Teresa Wilson grew up in poverty in Danville, Virginia, where her parents both worked. Her parents both worked at a Tex. At age 16, she dropped out of high school and married a man she met at church. The couple had one daughter, Christine Lambine, but the marriage soon ended in divorce after Teresa turned to alcohol and painkillers. Her mother-in-law described Teresa as not right. Following a dozen of low-paying jobs, Teresa found work in spring of 2000 at the Dan River Till Mill, where her supervisor was Julian Lewis. He was a recent widower who had 3 children. Teresa and her daughter Christy moved into Julian's home in June 2000, and the two married soon after. December 2001, Julian's son, Jason, was killed in a car accident and left Julian $200,000 from a life insurance policy. In 2002, Julian's younger son Charles obtained a $250,000 insurance policy in preparation for his employment to Iraq as part of the United States Army Reserve. Charles designated his father as the primary and Teresa Lewis as the secondary beneficiary. In the fall of 2002, Teresa met 21-year-old Matthew Jesse Schellenberg, the 19-year-old Rodney Lamont Fuller at a Walmart in Danville and began a actual relationship with both of them. In October 2002, Charles came home on a visit from Army training in Maryland on October 23rd. Matthew and Rodney were given $1,200 by Teresa to purchase firearms and ammunition to unalive Julian and his son Charles for the insurance money. Their first attempt to unalive Julian while on the road did not succeed. A week later, on the night of October 30th, Matthew and Rodney entered the Lewis's trailer through a back door, and Teresa had left open. While she waited in the kitchen, Matthew shot the sleeping Julia several times, while Rodney shot Charles in his bedroom with a shotgun. After discovering Charles was not dead, Rodney shot him twice more. Teresa waited 45 minutes before calling for help, and while waiting for the police to arrive, she removed money from her dying husband's wallet. She divided 300 with Rodney and Matthew before they left. However, Sheriff deputies arrived prior to Julian dying and heard him say, "My wife knows who done this to me," while she had claimed the two had been unalived by unidentified assailants in a home invasion. Shortly after, Teresa was caught attempting to withdraw $50,000 from her dead husband's account with a forged check. Within a week, she confessed to the authorities that she had offered money to have her husband killed. During the investigation, prosecutors found that Teresa had been trying to gather the assets of her late husband and stepson even before they have been buried. During the murder trial, the judge deemed Lewis the mastermind of the crime and called her the head of this serpent. Damn. So Teresa was found to have show an IQ of 72, a verbal IQ of 70, a performance IQ of 79, and that Teresa was able to make plea agreements and enter pleas. So Teresa's lawyer says she's not mentally retarded, but she's very, very close to it. What? What? Just say she's okay. In addition to a low IQ, Teresa was said by her lawyer to have an addiction to painkillers and was diagnosed with dependent personality disorder by three different psychologists. So all the defense attorneys in this woman's case said overwhelmingly they advised her to plead guilty to capital charges in order to avoid a jury and hope that the judge would show her leniency since Teresa had been cooperating with the investigators. However, she was sentenced to death. The unalivings were capital crimes since the crimes were considered unaliving for hire, and the two conspirators who actually did the shooting, Matthew and Rodney, were sentenced to life imprisonment at separate trials. Teresa was granted an automatic review by the Supreme Court of Virginia, which rejected the agreement that it was unfair to execute Teresa while the co-conspirators got licenses, as well as rejecting Teresa's challenges to the constitutionally as a death penalty. What? She was placed on death row at the Luvana Correctional Center for Women in Troy, Virginia. Teresa's daughter Christine served 5 years because she knew about the plan but failed to report it. In November 2004, a private investigator Matthew at Wallace Ridge State Prison in Big Stone Gap, Virginia, on behalf of Teresa. Matthew wrote a partially transcribed affidavit. Teresa was in love with me. She was a very eager to please me. She was also not very smart. However, Matthew tore off and ate the parts of the document that he had signed. Matthew said, "What will happen, will happen." Matthew committed suicide at the prison in 2006. Are you okay? In Teresa's last hours, she spent praying and singing hymns. When Teresa was led to the gas chamber, uh, her husband's daughter Kathy was there, and she came to witness Teresa's execution. Teresa apologized for unaliving her brother and father. Her last words: "I just want Kathy to know that I love you and I am very sorry." Teresa was executed on September 23rd, 2010 at 9:13 p.m. by lethal injection at Greensville Correctional Center near Jarrett. Jarrett. This made her the 12th woman to be executed in the United States. Shut up. Executed in the United States since the death penalty was reinstated in 1976. The first woman to be executed in the state of Virginia, Christian, who died in the electric chair in 1912. Teresa was also the first woman to be executed in the U.S. since Frances Newton in 2005 by the state of Texas. The second woman to be executed since serial killer Eileen Wuornos in 2002 by the state of Florida. Her body was cremated following her execution. And this is what she ate.